I traveled across all of Asia, from the busy streets of Tokyo to the temples of Thailand, from the markets of India to the skyscrapers of Singapore. I thought I had seen it all. But then I went to the Philippines, and that's when everything changed. They told me the Philippines was different, but I didn't really understand until I stepped foot there, and by the time I left, I realized no other place had touched me the same way. The first thing that shocked me was the people, because in Asia, I had seen politeness, hospitality, respect, but in the Philippines, I found something deeper, something that felt like family from the first moment. Strangers smiled at me in the street. Kids shouted hello with excitement. Families invited me into their homes even when they had little to share, and every time I asked for help, I was met not just with answers, but with genuine care. In other countries, I was a tourist, but in the Philippines, I was treated like a friend, like I belonged. And then there was the beauty of the islands, because yes, Asia is full of natural wonders, but the Philippines has a magic that feels different. Imagine turquoise water so clear you can see fish swimming around your feet, white sand beaches so soft it feels like flour, cliffs rising straight out of the sea covered in green, and sunsets that turn the sky into a painting of orange, pink, and gold. I had seen Bali, I had seen the Maldives, I had seen Thailand's islands, but Palawan and Boracay gave me something beyond beauty. They gave me peace. Sitting on the shore watching the sun dip into the horizon in the Philippines, I felt stillness I had never known before. But it wasn't just the landscapes, it was the stories tied to them. In Cebu, I swam with whale sharks, and when one of these gentle giants glided past me, I looked into its enormous eye and felt humbled, reminded of how small we are in this world. At Kawasan Falls, I jumped into turquoise pools and laughed with local families who treated me as one of their own. In Bohol, I stood before the Chocolate Hills, hundreds of perfectly shaped green mounds stretching as far as the eye could see, and I thought about how nature has its own way of creating wonders that defy explanation. And then there was Siargao, the surfing capital, where the waves rolled in endlessly and the coconut trees stretched for miles. I rented a scooter and rode through roads lined with palm trees, feeling the wind on my face. No destination, just freedom. That island taught me that travel isn't about rushing from place to place. It's about slowing down, breathing in, and feeling alive. Food in the Philippines surprised me too, because I had eaten sushi in Japan, curries in India, noodles in Vietnam, dumplings in China, and street food in Thailand. But in the Philippines, the food carried something more than flavor. It carried comfort. I tasted adobo, chicken simmered in soy sauce, vinegar and garlic until it was tender and rich. I tried lechon, roasted pig with skin so crispy it cracked with every bite. I had sinigang, a sour soup that warmed me and refreshed me at the same time. And then there was halo halo, a dessert made of crushed ice, fruit, beans, and ice cream, a mix of everything, just like the Philippines itself, a blend of influences, cultures, and flavors that somehow worked perfectly together. But food was never just about eating, it was about sharing. Every meal came with rice, and every plate seemed too big for one person, because meals in the Philippines are meant for family, for friends, for togetherness. When I sat down to eat, someone always said, "Kain tayo," let's eat together, even if I had just met them. That simple phrase carried so much meaning. It was an invitation not just to share food, but to share life. Festivals in the Philippines also opened my eyes, because I had seen big celebrations in other Asian countries. But nothing compared to the energy of Sinulog in Cebu. The streets exploded with colors, music, and dancing. People painted their faces, drums beat endlessly, and thousands moved together in rhythm, celebrating not just religion, but joy itself. It was chaotic, loud, overwhelming, but also beautiful, a reminder that life should be celebrated with everything you've got. And then there was the history. In Asia, I had walked through temples, palaces, and ancient ruins, but in the Philippines, I found a history written not only in stone, but in the hearts of the people. Centuries of colonization, battles for freedom, and resilience in the face of hardship had shaped a nation that never gave up. Walking through Intramuros in Manila, the old walled city, I saw Spanish architecture still standing, mixed with modern life, a symbol of how the Philippines doesn't forget its past, but also doesn't let it define its future. The resilience of Filipinos left the biggest mark on me. I met families who had lost everything to typhoons, yet rebuilt their homes with smiles. I met children playing happily in the streets with nothing but homemade toys, their laughter louder than any sadness. I met workers abroad who sacrificed their lives away from home to provide for their families, sending money back so their children could go to school. And through all of this, I realized the strength of the Philippines isn't in its islands or its food or even its history. It's in its people. I had traveled across Asia. I had admired technology in Japan, spirituality in India, traditions in Thailand, modern beauty in Singapore, ancient wonders in Cambodia, but none of those places changed me the way the Philippines did, because the Philippines isn't just a destination, it's an experience that stays with you. It changes how you see family, how you see kindness, how you see resilience, and how you measure wealth, not by money or possessions, but by smiles, by love, by community. Everywhere I went in the Philippines, I was reminded of this truth. On ferries between islands when strangers shared snacks with me, on jeepneys when people squeezed together so there would be space for one more, in markets where vendors insisted I taste their fruit before buying, in small villages where families welcomed me like I had always been part of them. It was the small things that built up into something enormous, a feeling that no matter who you are, in the Philippines, you are never alone. And so when I left, I carried with me more than memories of beaches and waterfalls. I carried lessons that no other part of Asia had taught me in the same way. I learned that resilience isn't just surviving, it's smiling while rebuilding. I learned that generosity isn't about how much you have, it's about how much you're willing to share. I learned that happiness doesn't come from wealth, but from community and connection. And I learned that sometimes the most underrated places end up being the ones that transform you the most. I traveled all of Asia, but the Philippines changed everything. Because it taught me that travel isn't about checking places off a list, it's about letting places change you, about opening your heart to new ways of seeing the world, and about realizing that the greatest treasures aren't always monuments or landmarks. Sometimes the greatest treasures are the people who smile at you in the street, who invite you to their table, who teach you without even trying. That's why the Philippines isn't just another stop in Asia. It's a place that stays with you forever. And that's why, no matter how many places I see in the future, I know that the Philippines will always be the country that changed everything for me.